All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Make sure I'm can be seen. Yep. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming today. And my name is Dr. Darren Mills, and I'm with Freedom Whole Health. And I my telephone number is 502-410-1270. If you have any questions, love to give you some info and work with people who see health on a preventive basis. And I will quickly say that, and I think I was talking to somebody recently. I think it was Brian, and I was telling him that prevention is better than diagnosis every time. Because once it's diagnosable, you got it. So we were going to try to here going to talk about the talk about prevention and what we can do. So I'll talk about it's called one carbon metabolism, and it involves the transfer of one carbon units between molecules. So it's a little bit. I thought it was kind of complicated, but I'll try to make it less complicated. It's a pathway that is essential for maintaining cellular health. So that's basically when a person has a good cellular metabolism, they're going to be able to stay a lot more disease free. That has to do with lots of different factors, which I'm going to get into here in just a little bit. It's implicated. This pathway is implicated in cellular development. It can be implicated in various cancers and other various diseases. Nutrients that are needed to clear cellular health, that would help to clear cellular health, is folate, B6, B12, and B2. And I got to thinking, I'm trying to use my own noodle in all this, and I think getting a B complex is a great idea. It seems to be paramount to a lot of different chemical processes that go on. And I think I'm gonna start taking a B complex again. I took B complex for years, and I think it helped me a lot. I took it mainly for depression, and then I think it felt like it wasn't working as well as it could. But there's a lot of other good processes that go along with that. And so methyl donors that help with one carbon metabolism is called methionine, choline, betaine, and serine. And I believe you can probably get those in supplement forms. Probably could get all of that in one supplement. Um, I looked up what methylation is because it's something that I don't. I've heard that term a lot. I kind of took it as almost like metabolism, but that's not what methylation is. I'm gonna read to you what methylation is. It's a biochemical process where a methyl group is added to a molecule. So it turns genes on and off and affects gene expression. So methylation, I'm gonna read that again, is a biochemical process where a methyl group is added to a molecule. And basically what it is it turns genes on and off. So say, for instance, a person who their parents have a history of heart disease, that gene can either be expressed or not be expressed based on a person's lifestyle and things of that nature. That's what it all boils down to. Genes, a person might have what's called a predisposition for something that never gets expressed because their lifestyle didn't allow it to get expressed. So that's when people have a genetic predisposition for something, it doesn't mean it's a death sentence. So I would, for instance, have a genetic predisposition for that C word, aka cancer, but if I don't do all the things that get that expressed, then it's very likely that I'll be able to avoid that. And that's my hope. And again, what we're talking about right now, we were talking about chronological age versus health age. A person can be, I'm gonna quickly say that again. A person can be 40 years old and look like they're 70, and a person can be 70 and look like they're 40. I went to a seminar a little while back, and this lady, she literally looked 40 years old, and she said, "Oh, I'm 73," and I mean, the room was like in awe. But the only telltale on this woman was her hands. Her hands did look older. But I mean, I don't know whether maybe she got all kinds of treatments. I don't know. But I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, her whole body, aura, demeanor was 40 years old. It wasn't 70 years old. So it was neat to see the health age versus chronological age. Um, The methyl donors help mitigate age-associated diseases and disorders. So um, that was what I was seeing as methyl donors helps mitigate age-associated diseases and disorders. And again, that's methionine, choline, betaine, and serine. So those are things that can help. I'm going to give you some other ideas of what I think can also help, but this was what was in the book. I also looked up metabolic syndrome. I don't know how many of you are aware of what that means, but it's a cluster of conditions that occur together, increasing the risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. So it's a lot of different co-occurring disorders that they're not really diagnosable, but again, it's all about lifestyle. Typically, people with metabolic syndrome are not getting enough exercise, maybe eating way too much sugar, maybe smoking and drinking, which is, we all know that those things and too much occurrence can be killers for sure. So, so with that, I'm gonna take a quick commercial. If you would, the way I pay my bills is um, tell people about what we're doing here. If please come in and use one of my services. Um, and then also I wanted to say go on to my YouTube, hit the like button. That would be a great free thing that someone could do to help me. And yeah, just please bring other people in. Love to keep this going and really enjoying myself doing it and learning about prevention and ways that we can stay healthy with, good. I was telling somebody earlier today, knowledge is power, and I believe that fully. It's so hard to get this knowledge to figure out how to stay healthy on a preventive basis. So that's that. Um, the next thing I want to talk about is inflammaging and garbaging. I think I've hit inflammaging before. Um, but basically, it's when the immune system reflects lifelong accumulation of stressors. So it's when the immune system reflects lifelong accumulation of stressors. Stressors can be, I'll try to not look at my notes. Um, it can be internal, where how a person relates to the world. It can be plastics. It can be toxic air and water. It can be candida fungus. It can be too much sugar. Um, Parasites. I think I said plastics, but if I didn't say plastics. These all set the stage for auto reactive slash autoimmune processes and AKA autoimmune disease. So if you have too much inflammaging and garbaging going on where your body cannot detox fast enough all of the things that's going on because of a person's lifestyle, it creates and sets the stage where the body gives up and it can no longer tell what is an invader and what is something good happening to it, and it creates autoimmune disease. And that's what happens is when the body gets confused and can no longer tell the difference between a foreign invader that it needs to attack and something like a peanut or whatever it is. And that's a maybe a bad example, but that is an example. And there's a hundred other autoimmune diseases now, which seems to me, again, is oftentimes when the body's toxic overloaded. And I would venture a guess to say that a lot of autoimmune diseases could be reversed if a person could get their bodies detoxed. And we'll talk about, at least be made better. I can't remember the word for that. What's that word? Ameliorated. Ameliorated by doing these things that I'm getting ready to talk about. So things that can help are profuse sweating, like sauna. So that's what I was talking to Angela a minute ago, and so that greatly boosts the immune system, and sweating is a great detoxifier. It puts a stress on the body that that is helpful because the body thinks it needs to fight. Strenuous exercise. So, and I would say walking is good, but finding something for a very short amount of time that you can do that's very strenuous. But I'm gonna say this is a caveat, but you got to make sure you're healthy enough to do strenuous exercise. If you're not ready to do that, don't do that. And maybe you need to go talk to a medical doctor and get some sort of tests to make sure. If you think that you're not healthy enough to do that, don't do that. Start slow. There's a gentleman. Nobody here knows who this is, but I went to Cincinnati and watched a rock concert, and one of the guys that was with us, he weighed about 400 pounds, and he couldn't get up the steps to go to the balcony, and I would not suggest that he do strenuous exercise. Is my point. He needs to do something very, 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 very mild for a long time, and so that's just one example of someone I thought, well, where would I start if I was in his shoes? And it's easy for me to say, feel sorry for that gentleman, but anyhow, um, high quality food based multivitamin would be a great thing to do, and food based, it would be a great idea. Start cooking more at home, do recipes. And these are all things that help to boost the immune system. With that, high quality food, spend more money on food because um, garbage in, garbage out, and good food in, good food out. And the last thing is make sure you're getting detoxed in some way. There's herbs that can help detox. A gentleman here that's on the phone, the Zoom meeting tonight is starting to do a detox. No sugar, no wheat, no dairy, no fun. But that being said, it's going to pay dividends. It's going to pay dividends if that person keep working at it, working at it, and working at it. And he's gotten me kind of inspired because I'm getting ready to do my own version of that. I think I'm gonna do. And I don't think everybody should do this long term, but even to do a vegan for a couple of weeks, it can get no sugar, and it'll help me. I know it'll help me if I do that and eat way more high quality home cooked meals rather than stopping in here and stopping in there. Um, So I have to do it. I have to lead by example rather than telling other people to do it all the time. I have started been exercising like a madman though, and that's cool. I haven't exercised this hard in a long time, and being 53, that's quite different. And I'm exercising an hour at a time to where in the past I couldn't exercise any more than a half an hour at a time. And I think that's going to pay huge dividends for me. Labs that will uncover inflammaging, and I suppose you would go to a medical doctor, and I could probably help people pick these out. There's a test called IL-6, another one called TNFA, I think. Best I can see, it looks kind of like a fish. I don't know what that is, but anyhow, I could help somebody figure that out. IL-1 and it's CRP. And my what I understand it to be is these are markers that a person can see, and if they're high, then that person has got some inflammation going on and needs to do some of the things that we just discussed previously to help get those down in my eyes. The medical doctor is probably going to give you some sort of medication, I would guess. But if it were me, I would start with the other things that we talked about. Um, CBC is also it's called the complete blood count, and almost every uh, routine blood test has that, and it's neutrophil count, lymphocyte count, monocytes, so like white blood cells, red blood cells, T cells, and all of those items, and you can tell if those are elevated, then you've got some issues with inflammation. The last thing I want to talk about is the innate immunity versus acquired immunity. Actually, Lisa mentioned this a while back ago to me, and I really wasn't thinking about the difference between the two, and I didn't really hit too hard into it tonight, but maybe next time I'll hit more into what is in innate immunity versus acquired immunity. The innate immunity is the body's first line of defense against pathogens, providing an immediate non-specific response to infection. It's present from birth. So, an innate immunity is something that we're born with, and but it can either get increased or decreased based on the way we treat our bodies. Acquired immunity is a learned defense mechanism that develops over time as the body encounters and responds to specific pathogens. And that's why I've always been against people who say, "Oh, I'm going to stay away from this, I'm going to stay away from that," because if it's not going to kill us, it's going to make us stronger. It's going to make our immune system stronger. If the body can be subjected to it in a controlled way, then it's the next time it's going to know exactly what it is and it's going to immediately attack it. If it's something new, if they somehow there's a new strand of this and a new strand of that, then the first time, we'll just use that COVID as an example, people got extremely ill. And the second, third, fourth times, they didn't get extremely ill because their bodies knew exactly what it was and it attacked it and made it look like child's play. And that's going to be my take on that. I'm not a fan of getting tons of vaccines myself, and I think that getting an acquired immunity is a much better idea from my standpoint. That's what I believe. Well, that's all I have written down. I hope that you got some benefit from this and you got some enjoyment out of it. Sorry it wasn't as funny tonight. I was hoping to be able to tell some jokes, but for some reason